Hello and welcome to This Day, a history show from Radiotopia. My name is Jody Avirgan. And Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2026 and welcome to America's 250th birthday. As you may know, this is a big year for this country, our semi-quincentennial, and it is also a big year for this podcast. We have got our year-long series, 50 Weeks That Shaped America, on the way, 50 deep dive, two-part episodes that we think will help add up to the story of how we got to this moment. That officially launches on Tuesday, but today we're going to take a look ahead to what 2026 may have in store with what I'm calling our Predictions and Provocations for 2026. I'm joined, as always, by Nicole Hemmer of Vanderbilt and Kelly Carter-Jackson of Wellesley. Hello there.
Hello, Jody. Happy New Year.
Hey there. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Did you catch that there were two ball drops on New Year's Eve? There was one for 2026, and then they took the ball back up. It got red, white, and blue lights all over it, and then they dropped it again to mark America's birthday. So, you know.
Always happy for a ball drop.
Well,
sure.
And I think
I can never stay up late enough.
Well, that's
so it
true.
doesn't matter.
That's true.
But you can watch it the next day on YouTube. It's fine.
Also,
10 p.m. I'm out.
also a good way to get your money's worth. I've always thought that it's, whatever. Go to Times Square. Not for me, but sure. But then to just sit there and watch the ball drop for like whatever it is, 8 seconds. So you got double that at least for being out there as we enter America 250. So look, here's what we're going to do today. We are going to do, as I said, predictions and provocations. So this is anything that's on your mind heading into 2026, things that you're watching, big and small. We can be very specific. We can be very big think. We're each going to do about, 3 or 4, depending on how this goes. So you ready to jump in?
Let's do it. I feel like Kelly and I both definitely have very long lists.
Yeah. Good. Well, we'll work our way through it. Now, one quick thing for our listeners before we dive in is that we have posted the full cut of this episode with video for our newsletter subscribers. So if you are already a subscriber to the newsletter, go check it out. It's in your inbox right now. If you've been meaning to join, maybe a New Year's resolution for 2026, consider this your nudge. I just want to be clear, the whole 50-week series will always be free in this podcast feed if that's where you're listening. But the newsletter is really where we're going to try and build a community around all of this. We have our weekly America 250 Watch emails, bonus conversations, monthly Q&As, other subscriber-only conversations. So if you subscribe, it helps keep this show going strong, and it is a really great way to support what we are up to. So go to thisdaypod.com to get the full episode right now. But whether you are listening or watching, here we go. Let's get into some of our initial predictions and provocations. Can I offer a prediction right off the bat?
Yeah.
Please, yeah.
I should couch this a little bit by saying I worked at 538, which is some people view as a prediction site, and I came to kind of understand the folly of predictions actually by working at that site. And
Are you a Bayesian?
Well, yes, exactly. Look at you. The way I came to understand the role of predictions is not to then be able to say 6 months later, oh, look, I was right or whatever. Yep. But it sort of forces you to do some thinking as you plant your flag in the ground. And so it's all the sort of conversation swirling around the prediction that I think is the most interesting and the process that gets to it, not the prediction itself. That said, I am planting a flag and I'm going to say this UFC fight that Trump is talking about happening on the White House lawn, it's not going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I find that such an interesting prediction because I want to understand why you think it's not going to happen. To me, it seems like the easiest win for him. It appeals to parts of his base, like the Joe Rogan and Barstool parts that are a little uncertain at this moment. So why do you think it's not going to happen?
Well, let me tug at those threads in order there. Okay, so one, it seems like the easiest win. It's not a very logistically easy thing to pull off, right? I mean, a big fight with cameras and pageantry and so forth, coordinating with the UFC on the White House lawn. It just seems like Trump's not good at these logistics, right? I mean, he touts big projects all the time, and then they often don't materialize or they get mired or so forth.
See the ballroom.
Yeah, see the ballroom or see that parade or see all sorts of other stuff. I mean, I think, in our next episode, we're going to talk a lot about how the bicentennial in 1976 was kind of slapdash and not very logistically smooth. And I think this year is going to feature a lot of that too. And so I just think in general, I'm looking out for moments where the America 250 thing gets mired in the fact that like these people are not very well organized. There's a lot of graft going on, just kind of like in general. I don't trust that they can pull stuff off. So that's one. But but then the add-on thing is, to your point, like Nikki, you mentioned, like, well, it seems like it appeals right to that Joe Rogan UFC podcast bro base. I see the erosion of that base happening. And so I think that will start to then make this all, and I don't know, is UFC, is Dana White going to formally break with Trump and pull out? I don't know. But are the incentives there? Is the cultural cachet for pulling this off as strong as it was a year ago? Absolutely not. And so I just think all of those things may conspire to us saying, hey, weren't they going to do a big fight? Now, they'll do something to say that they did it, right, that it evolved. But anyway, that's my prediction. But moreover, I think it gets at this bigger idea that I think we're on two fronts. As I said, we're going to see a lot of just logistical boondoggling this year. And I do think a lot of this cultural cachet of the MAGA movement is eroding. It's still obviously very powerful, but it is eroding. And I think we're going to see that play out in a bunch of ways through the lens of America 250. So there you go.
I totally agree with this part of it, which is that splintering and fracturing of the MAGA movement is going to continue. And I think that is going to drive a lot of efforts to bring them back together, often through pretty radical actions. So the UFC fight is the non-radical one. But also, you did mention the military parade, and that was such a damn squib, sad trombone, that it would be interesting if they do try to do it, and it's just
doesn't
not
have the juice.
Very good.
Yeah. I imagine if they do it, and I kind of think they will, that it will be a much scaled down version. It won't be this sort of Coliseum style, public display where people get to cheer like a live event. I think it would be a much more you watch two people on the lawn duke it out, but there's cameras, but there's there's no fans or anything that's spectacle that you can sort of watch, but I don't know.
We'll see.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
And spectacle is the whole point of those things. So
yes.
I also have a very specific prediction, and it has to do with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to rule on birthright citizenship probably in June of this year, unless they decide to come out with it sooner. I actually think that they are going to uphold birthright citizenship, probably in something like a 7-2 ruling. Alito and Thomas, I think, are going to be the outliers, and then we'll see if anybody joins them. I predict, in addition, that this is going to be presented to us as a sign that the Supreme Court is not captured by Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. And I just want to wave the flag ahead of time to say this is incorrect. The fact that the Supreme Court is even hearing this case is and didn't immediately, enjoin it, and that it's not going to be 9-0, obviously and immediately, is a sign of the radicalization of the court. The conservatives on the court want to do maintenance on their image so they don't appear captured, and so this is a pretty easy way for them to do that because it's such a no-brainer. But that's I think we're going to both see that decision come down that way, but then also we're going to be fed a story about what it means that I think isn't correct.
Well, but let me ask you, because, do you think the America 250 at all plays into that at all? The fact that we're having a conversation about what it means to be a citizen and a ruling about what it means to be a citizen in a year when we're, having this conversation about where we've come from and what it means to be American and our values. Does the Supreme Court watch that stuff? Is there part of them that will say, oh, okay, this will play into this bigger conversation?
I don't think they're sentimental.
I don't think that they're sentimental. I think that they're cynical. And I think that probably it would be a decision written by John Roberts, and he would aim for the kind of lofty rhetoric that might draw in America 250. But I also would not take that entirely at face value.
Right. It may not affect the decision, but, I have a sort of related prediction or an idea related to this. But we are just going to see people wrap America 250 around everything, everything. And often the things they were already going to do. So, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of Supreme Court decisions end up kind of using this rhetoric in this moment to maybe do a decision they were already planning to do anyway. Kelly, you got something?
Yeah, so this may seem superficial or not, But I've been thinking a lot about Target, and maybe it's because we just got out of a holiday season. And I remember specifically this last year in January is when the Target boycott really started. And it was meant to be for like all of February, and it's really gone on nonstop. And Target has continued to lose money, like month after month, quarter after quarter. They have not rebounded from this boycott due to their stance on DEI and their rolling back of all of their diversity initiatives. And it's kind of sad because I remember every February, like I would wait for Target to do their Black History Month line, and then I would buy like all the kids' t-shirts. So my kids had the Malcolm Martin Harriet t-shirts. They had the Black History 365 t-shirts because they would always sell out in January. And my friends would be in a group chat and be like, oh gosh, Target has its new line or whatever. I'm not doing that this year. I'm not looking forward to that. They're not doing that this year. And I think it's going to signal that like these boycotts do require a lot of stamina. I keep going back to Montgomery and how like that lasted over a year. And I think people think boycotts are supposed to be, short and quick. Like, okay, we don't spend for a weekend. That'll show them. And it's like, no, this moment is going to require people to understand that these efforts need to be long-term and filled with endurance, and that we have to sort of hold the line on what your values are. So, yeah, I see the boycott continuing. I see a lot of big box stores are not doing great, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But yeah, I don't see Target changing its ways, and I don't see them getting any more profits.
I think that this is one of the most undercovered stories. There was so much attention paid to the right's boycott of Target over their LGBTQ lines, so much attention to the boycott of Bud Light. This boycott of Target, which has been going on, as you're saying, for a year now, has gotten so little, I think, mainstream attention in many ways. I'm not reading about it much anyway. And it really is... It is a testament to the power of the boycott, that it is really affecting Target's bottom line. I think for a lot of folks who are participating in it, it just feels normal now. It's just like, well, we don't go to Target anymore.
I have new alternative ways of shopping that don't involve Target. And Target was the place I escaped to like get sort of my mommy break away from my kids, you know what I mean? Or the moment it's a store I could go in and easily spend like $200, and I was planning on just buying eggs, but I have not spent any time. And I think because of that, I had to sort of ask myself like, you've actually changed your own shopping patterns in this past year. And I didn't think I recognized how much I had done that, like created new habits.
Is there a larger trend here though about the kind of effectiveness of or ineffectiveness of caving to the sort of quote anti-woke movement? I mean, I see jokingly on social media people talking about kind of like woke is back, woke 2.0 is here. Like when you see these little glimmers of like people starting to push back or embrace DEI again or talk openly about some of that stuff. Are people who have those values or embrace that language at all going to come out of a defensive crouch in this year, you think?
I don't know, because I feel like that woke 2.0 is going to have to be much more than symbolic. It's going to have to be much more than just sort of like, okay, we have changed some hashtags and we put some new posters out with diversity in it. And, it really is going to have to be structural. I think that's what people really want. And I don't know that necessarily is on the horizon of changing anytime soon. But I do think people are over sort of the trinkets of symbolic representation. Yeah.
And corporations aren't going to lead this move, right?
People have to do it. Yeah,
they've drawn their lines. I don't think that they wanted to embrace diversity,
that might
other
be
than
true.
to the extent that it supported their bottom lines. And I think they were happy to withdraw from it. And with the continued pressure of the Trump administration, like they're not going to be the leaders on this front, and probably shouldn't be the leaders on this front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a little wish casting here, but I could see a world in which, especially under the guise of America 250, you do see some corporations say, like, we need to recalibrate and check back in with the values that made our country strong. And that's, immigration and diversity and a respect for all opinions. And maybe the threats from the government just have a little less juice this year than they did a year ago. And so I could see some of that, but I agree it's not going to be this like wholesale, turning of things around. All right, Nikki, you got anything else? You want to jump in?
I have lots of
You got your
things.
list. Okay, go.
I'm going to make an AI prediction.
Okay.
I think in many ways this year was the year of AI optimism. The boosterism, the sort of full embrace of AI by various institutions, including universities. I think we're going to see much more of an AI backlash in 2026. And I think it's already appearing. People find it to be soulless and confusing and inaccurate, right? And I think that this is going to be combined with a larger tech backlash that has also been brewing in part because of the techno-fascism of the right, and a return that I'm already seeing, that it's actually seen on the right before the left, but a return to analog. There's been lots of reporting on students who have asked for technology to be taken out of the classroom, who've asked for less screen time and to be taken away from these devices that distract them and engage them all the time in kind of meaningless ways. And so 2026 might be the year of the Luddite.
I agree with that 100%. Because I already have AI fatigue already. And I know that, I also see it won't happen this year, but there is a bubble to be burst.
Oh, yeah.
There is an AI
it may
bubble
happen this year. Yeah.
It might happen in a few years. But I definitely think that whole bubble bursting is coming. And in my son's school and a lot of schools around the country, they're not allowed to have cell phones anymore. And they are sort of cutting back on a lot of this technology. And I have seen the benefits of that in really meaningful ways. And I'm so over it.
Yeah.
I'm so over it.
I think people know that I care about this stuff a lot. I write about it a lot on social media and in my newsletter and so forth. But, I've tried to develop a sort of ethical approach to AI, if such a thing exists. And I've actually thought about the slow food movement, where it's we live within these systems, we feel uncomfortable about them, we know they're unhealthy for us, but we also kind of have to be realistic about the fact that we live within this world. And so how do you operate it with a way that's intentional and concerted and responsible? And I do think that conversation is going to continue to emerge. I sure hope it does. But Nikki, your point about how you're seeing some of these rumblings on the right before the left, I think that's really, Ron DeSantis just, a couple of days ago comes out as, I think he's planting a flag as the vanguard on the right for the sort of anti-AI movement. And he's talking about the sort of the data centers that are going to eat up all the electricity and the way that it's harming kids and all these things. And, and even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who kind of has broken with Trump in the last couple of months, she talks a little bit about we talked about what the MAGA movement was, and all of a sudden now it's just kowtowing to these techno billionaires and AI and crypto and what's that all about? So yeah, I could see certainly that
take away all the jobs of all the workers. Yes.
Yeah. Again, I will continue to be the most hopeful here, but there's also a world in which through America 250 people are getting together. They're getting together in person. They're going to concerts. They're going to the park. They're going to festivals, and they're realizing that you live your life out in the real world with each other, and that's part of this conversation as well.
America 250, touch grass.
We'll see. There you go. I like it. I
love it.
All right. Well, look, I warned you listeners that we were going to take a pause in the conversation, and this is that pause. If you are listening in the podcast feed, this is where we're going to wrap up today's conversation, but the full chat, uncut, with video, a few more predictions and provocations and conversations from all of us is up right now for newsletter subscribers. You can go to thisdaypod.com to join if you haven't already, and you can watch or listen to the rest immediately. And then if you are subscribed to the newsletter and become a paid subscriber to the newsletter, you will get everything that we make throughout the year. So thanks for being here. We will see all of you Tuesday for the official launch of 50 Weeks That Shaped America. Thanks for listening.